Okay, so we're Pentagon. We're called Pentagon because we have 5 different disciplines and specialisms, and it's all coming together as one uniform piece. So we're just going to quickly talk you through what we're thinking. So we've decided to actually make it kind of a second live brief. So we're working on a space that I'll talk to you about, which people are currently using at the moment, and some of us have experience using as well. So just today we're going to briefly cover why we've chosen this space, research and findings, and then we'll just cover our proposed solutions. So it's the DOIEC, it's just in the 3M Buckley Innovation Centre across the way. Some of us did an enterprise placement year instead of a regular placement, and that was opportunity to work on our individual businesses. And this is the space down at the bottom. It's open plan and it's shared with lots of different disciplines. It's also open for graduates as well, anybody that gets help from the enterprise team. And the enterprise team also have an office space, which is just off screen here.
So both Natalie and I used this space in our enterprise placement year, but when I say we used the space, we used it very little. It was there for us and we were expected to attend, and we did some of the time. Most of the time we found it more effective to work from home because of the layout and the way the office was there. It didn't work for creative types, which is why we are particularly looking at this space, because we've got personal experience of it.
So the current space, you can see that it's got really large desks. They've clustered some of the Macs and the regular PCs, but there isn't an area to just get messy, and the desks can't move around. They all lean on each other and they're quite big, so it feels like there are quite big barricades. There's not a nice flow. The furniture's fixed, you can't easily move it at all. And then we have 2 pods in there, and they are quite basic. They're quite old now, so we're going to look at how we can...
What about the look of the space? Does that inspire you?
No. No.
And we'll come on to the
dingy colours. If you just go to the next slide. So we went to a space upstairs which is it's owned by the 3M, and they've just renovated it and turned it into this nice open plan space, which is it's hot desking again, which is the same as the DOIEC. And we just found that instantly, the pictures don't really do it justice, but it feels a lot more open. The desks are in little clusters, so you've got a nice flow. It feels that you can go and mingle from desk to desk. There's also a bit of zoning going on with the floor colours changing, and then towards the back there's a private area, which is this shop down here, and it has different seating areas and different desks that you can work with, and also some storage. The colours that they've used here, it's quite minimal, but with it being greys and neutral tones, it's quite it's a nice calming effect. It's not too one way or another, and then you've just got the accent of the red popping through. If you could just go to the next slide, thank you. So just on to a bit of the research.
We looked into this survey that Ask.com did, and they figured out that 61% of people didn't like these sort of places because of the noisy co-workers, and 63% answered that they prefer to work outside of this in their own personal workspace and at home. Seven things that will kill the productivity at work. We do come across some of these further on in the slides. We pick up on the noisy co-workers, the cubicles, and the face-to-face interactions.
And these are all things that people working in the DOIEC experience, so because of the open plan and the hard surfaces, which we'll go into in more detail, a lot of these issues are things that people have said that they've come across while they're trying to work in the DOIEC, and that we've experienced as well trying to work in there. So we also looked at colour theory, and we just did some research into what colours kind of evoke different emotions, and we use that as a basis of what we might try and look at incorporating into the new space. Something I didn't mention, the plan with the DOIEC is to actually try and update what's already there, because they were given the space just as it came. There was no input, so the different businesses in there weren't taken into consideration at the time. So it's not a case of us looking at something that we're going to be making as a new build or a new office space. It's going to be trying to come up with effective fixes for the space that's already there.
And this is something that OIC wants. They want to change it. They want to get more of the businesses using their space. So they have had a problem with enough people coming in to go and work there. The businesses from the university haven't all been attending as much as they'd like. And this is part of why they think why people aren't using it enough.
How many people use the desks?
You spoke to them about this.
Yeah,
How many
do you mean
people got back to you?
at one time, how many people?
Sort of how many people use the desks and how long do they use desks for?
Normally the people who are in there and stay are just working on the computers. So the gamers are in there at the moment. There's about 5 gamers that normally work at one time, and they'll be there for long stretches of time. But they're in a specific area and they've got specific computers with higher specs. And then the rest, it's really ad hoc. So people come and they only stay for 2 or 3 hours and then they leave. There are events that you're supposed to attend, being part of the enterprise placement year. So people come for that, but then they leave as soon as they can, basically. And we also have out of office hours. But it very rarely gets used.
It is almost 24-hour usage that is possible, but it isn't used for those times. They should also be getting back to us with some figures as to how many people are using it and when, which we haven't got that yet. So.
Yeah, we know, we haven't got the exact figures, but we know the types of businesses that are in there. It's creative, so people doing graphic design. There's the gamers who, although it's creative, they are more computer-based. And then we have...
some fashion.
Yeah.
Fashion, your like creative pattern.
Do you want us to go into more details of the questions at the end of this?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm interrupting you.
So this is the first stage that we've looked at with trying to think about how we can revamp the space in quite an unintrusive way, but that will be quite effective. So keeping with the neutral tones, but bringing in some of the natural, just elements that reflect the natural kind of vibe going on. So we've got the blue tones and the jades, and then textures like wood, stone, and then also looking at wall coverings and fabrics with a plant or nature pattern. So maybe things like the things that resemble stone and wood and things like that, actually in the fabrics as well. If you could pay attention. So yeah, we just delved further into looking at materials and decor as well. So the research that we did looked at some trends that are coming through just across the board with home decor and workspaces, and then also tied that with some of the idea of bringing the outdoors in and softening some of the edges, because the original image that you saw, it was very sharp, clean spaces and not very tactile. So we're looking at things like woven plastics, some chunky knits over things, just things that will just soften it, similar to like you've got on the padded areas on here. Non-white whiteboards, so like the example in the top right corner, it's something that can be obviously wiped clean and can be used quickly by people, but it doesn't have to be stark white. Next slide, please. And then again, so keeping with the theme of not trying to completely overturn what's in there, just bringing in elements of the outdoors. Just found these nice examples of bringing in some wood art and also some plants.
Now, one of the things that they already do there, which we will probably encourage them, and I've not discussed this for yourself yet, but it's a surprise, is that all the businesses that are there, if they are creative types, they will quite often produce samples which are put around the OIC. So there are soft furnishings, there's Ariana rugs, and she makes nice things that are put on display. There's Beck who did her cushions, there's somebody who makes wax candles. So all of these little bits are around, and they will be encouraged to put more of this around to be used as part of these decorations and demonstrations of what the businesses do there.
Okay, next slide please.
So this is coming on to some of the work I've been doing, is looking at the acoustics of the room. And the main problem there is that it's very open, but all the surfaces are hard and reflective, and the ceiling is just one flat surface as well. So all the sound is bouncing around everywhere. and distracting you when you're trying to work. But adversely, when the doik is empty, it's like that, but even quieter. It's horrible. You sat there and you're feeling oppressed. So if your phone goes, you feel a bit anxious about answering it almost. So what we propose is for some of the surfaces to be much like you've already got here at the sides, is the padded surfaces, and looking at using some of the storage to create the soft areas and the seating to create the soft sound absorbing areas as well. These are the ones that I looked at from Design, which is I think a Scandinavian company, but a lot of theirs are on wheels as well, so the storage units can be then used as acoustic barriers or visual barriers if you want to create a new and separate space. And if it is too quiet as well, I was looking at the use of controllable directional speakers, so that if you want to have a little bit of background noise on, you can do, but at the same time, if you want that quiet, you've got the option to then go and turn it off, because there's nothing worse than working in an office where there's constantly music or something being played which you can't stand. So and we're going to be looking at zones, if in your zone you want to be able to turn that up a little bit or down a bit, you can do without interfering with the other zones in the room. Next slide, please.
Okay, so Michael just mentioned the work zones. So that was in addition to the storage that was on some of the sound barriers that he had up. Zoning was really important, so that there's an area that creatives can get messy, or they can just spread out and get work done, but also without restricting those who need to just sit at a computer. So we looked at possibly using the sides of pods, so having still a glass side, but looking at laminating some natural elements between the glass on one of the sides. And then here where we've got, I think it's actually just here that you're all sat at, having like a bar stool level working space around one of the solid sides. We thought this could be quite interesting as well, but we would need to have something on the inside of it so that there's a bit of privacy, but it just adding more storage, because storage was really key, as well as workspaces. Because it's hot desking, it's really difficult for you to make a space feel like your own, even if it's just for a day. So storage was really important, that you could actually just pull something out, work on it, and then put it away again without having to lug everything into the office every single time you come.
That's stressful for you. Break your flow?
Nope.
Damn you.
I'll forget otherwise.
Okay.
This bottom left image, we had the idea of solitary stations. So if you don't feel like working in a group, or if you've got a deadline that you're rushing to and you just need a little bit of space to yourself, having something that's flexible that can just come down, or if it's busy and there aren't many spaces, having an area that can just pop up and pop down. And also the expandable tables. That's just one example, but we have seen more slick designs where you turn the table and it expands.
The bit that I just wanted to throw in was a real problem with the Doyek, which is the glass booths that they've got there, the sound pods. They at first felt they were being too observed like a goldfish bowl. So they then put the frosting on the side of them, which they then found was too frosted and they couldn't have any in and out. They felt a bit too enclosed then. So to work the two together, we were looking at using more of the laminated stuff like this, so that you can partially block it, like you've done with the hexagons over there, but still partially see through as well. So you're getting that biophilic feel of nature around you, providing a slight screen and also a bit of visual line of sight. That's all I wanted to say.
I looked at work furniture to try and divide the spaces as well as open the spaces. I found a company that's from America that have the same sort of things as Orange Box. So I just tried to use an example of what they've got and use examples of what you've got that would sort of be able to create that type of space. So there's like areas obviously like we've got now representing, but also the larger tables, so that if there is somebody creative that needs the space, there's a bigger space as such. Next slide. And then the American company had sort of movable seating. So again, like there's two companies, obviously like two groups could sit around this one, but also they move and break away so that you can be segregated. And that was just an example of what I found that you had initially as well. Yeah.
So this was just another point on the hot desking. We thought this was quite an easy and effective way that we could add a bit of flexibility and allow people to add their personality to the space. So if we have these mesh or bulldog clip areas, so people can just put up anything that they're working on, so they can quickly have a mood board or reference in front of them, and it just makes the space feel a little bit more personal and a bit more vibrant and creative.
Some work that's in progress still on that for research is looking at architecture drawers and things like that to be able to store these in between times. So that will come into a later presentation.
So next steps, we're going to carry on doing more primary research, speaking with the businesses inside the DOIEC, and just getting a feel, trying to nail down exactly what it is that poses a barrier to them working in the space, what they feel they need in order to be productive, or what things they need to be able to get their work done. Looking at the final budget, and then just looking at the layouts and the furniture plans and how we can bring it all together. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I thought it was good. I liked when you were looking at the agile spaces are like adapting the space and the furniture and being able to move those soft furnishings around. It's quite nice. But I also liked the looking at textures of using materials to create textures and things rather than to create a bioflex space. You don't necessarily always have to put a grass carpet down and chuck a load of trees in there and things like that. You can also get that feel just through textures and through good quality materials and things like that. So I thought that was quite good as well.
I think for me it's very similar to the first presentation. You've got all the right ingredients there for developing a fantastic space, but I think you need to go back to the beginning and actually really look hard at the function of that space. You've got the ideas of the sort of biophilic and the materials and fantastic ideas of how people can pin stuff up on the wall. What you need to do is to go right back to the beginning and just look at that space and see how it works and how it flows as a space. You can inject all those ideas in, but if you don't look at that space, and that's why I was asking the question about the desks, because what strikes me there is that I've been quite bold here, knocking that space, but I think it's completely wrong. I think that whole space is completely wrong. And to me, those pictures speak volumes. There was one picture you had up of the new space. It had all these empty desks. And right at the end, there's a bunch of people. If you look at that picture, there's a group of people right at the end, and I don't think they were at a desk. I think they were sat in some soft chairs. And it kind of spoke volumes to me that actually they don't want the desks. They want other types of space and other types of furniture. And that's why I think you've got to go right back to the beginning and look at the whole function of what people want and how people work.
What we're looking at there is potentially roughly 4 zones. One zone for the staff who work there and they need their desks, and we need to work out some privacy for them for data protection when they're talking to us and other clients of them. We would need the messy zone, the dry zone, which is something I believe we touched on briefly, and a controllable light zone as well, which needs to come into this. Now, one of the main problems we're going to have is it has to be adaptable each year, because each year they get new entrepreneur placement year students coming from 6 different schools. Is it 6 schools at the university? Put it on the spot. I believe it's 6 schools at the university anyway.
Go for 6.
I've got written down. Yeah, we'll say 6. So each year it could be groups coming from any of those, and these people work as teams and as individual businesses as well. So we need to have that adaptability year on year.
Yeah, and to me it strikes me that space is not adaptable at all. You've got these fixed desks which
they
are
lean on
used.
each other as well, so you can't even move one or else they will just fall.
Following on from what Mark said there as well, and it's something that we've done as a company, when you were talking about project tables and the flexibility for people to be able to come in and change the working setup, you can always use those project tables for PCs as well. Most people that are going in there have got laptops.
Yeah.
So instead of having all those desks laid out, you can create some really inspiring places by using work tables.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be at a desk. So you don't have to zone it in that way. It's just encouraging people to work in a different train of thought. And also I noticed that I have been in that building actually, and I totally agree with you.
It's one of your parts of the cottage.
It is, yeah, it's our first area pod actually, it's in there. The other thing I noticed when I went in as well is that you don't get a feeling that people can sit and relax and chill and talk. Because there's no tea areas. There's not on each floor. I don't know if I think they've got a cafe on the bottom, haven't they? So even if you think about sort of a little tea zone or something for collaboration.
We've got like a section kitchen.
Yeah, but people don't use it. That was one of the issues as well. Which the reason they think people don't use it because it's directly opposite where the staff sit.
Yeah.
They have got some other area right at the end with a board
breakout
and some soft seating, and people do use that area more. So they're looking at incorporating a few more semi-private spaces as well.
I think if you guys can create a space where you can incorporate both of those, so that people are not frightened to go and get a cup of coffee, come down and have a chat at a table next to it, I think you could create something really great in there. And I think, as Adam said, with the different materials that are available as well, and I love the fact of your hooks with your bulldog clips and things like that. And I also like the fact that the people that are going there are very creative, exhibit their works around the place and use it as a selling point as well to sell their products, because that's what's going to encourage them to go forward and hopefully become successful in whatever trade they want to go into as well.
I think you could also zone places a lot more, zone the space a lot more. We know that there are maybe 3 or 4 different types of people, and there's also different functions, like you said, that the gaming programmers want. They have to be a sort of high-end PC tethered to their desk. Unfortunately for them, that's the reality. But there's a reason why people go to a cafe and collaborate with people and sit with people with their laptops and spend a day working. There's a reason for that, and a lot of creative people. There's a number of things. One is they might be an individual business, but they want to communicate with people whilst they're working, not sat at an individual desk. They want to be at a bench and be able to look over the screen or just look up.
Comfort's a lot to do with it as well, obviously. If you're sat at a computer for a long time, just sat in a chair, it's not always that comfortable. So being able to sit on different seating at least. Also.
There's another reason for that cafe culture as well.
Sounds.
Yeah, absolutely. And that place is dead from a standpoint. You said that about the acoustics, and actually no sound at all is as bad as too much sound.
There's an optimum range that isn't in those slides, unfortunately. I can't remember it off the top of my head. Between so many decibels and so many decibels, which is recommended for outcome plan officers.
It's probably around about 45, 50 decibels. I would say around about 50 decibels which is not that loud. 40 decibels is very quiet. You'd be surprised if you put a meter out there. But that cafe, for some people it helps them concentrate and focus because there's just enough sort of hum around them.
They have started putting on the news there. I think they've got the TV on with just the news turned very quietly, so there's constantly this bit of noise there, which Phil is one of the people who work there. He was saying that has improved his lighting for them.
You found the sound umbrellas near them?
I did, yeah, sound domes and directional speakers I've been looking at as well. Just, again, you can have the control of those noisy areas or background noise.
I think you just got to inject that bit of research in there and look at why people are going to cafes, why they're going home to work, why they have to be tethered at their desk, and try and find these different zones and look at that.
Even just do a bit of research with the people that are in that building. and just ask. I mean, the first thing that I would say to them is, you know, do you want to be segregated, or would you prefer to work next to somebody or opposite somebody? Just do a little bit of research on that, because I think that will give you a good balance then of your clientele and what you're trying to attract, and mix your different height products as well, so that you're giving people the option of sitting, standing, changing position as well. Because I know if I was in that building for 8 hours, I wouldn't be in the same position. I'd be moving around because I'd be bored of the sight of the walls or whatever is around me.
No, what you said was absolutely right about moving. You know, different types of seating, moving, sitting up here, standing and having a meeting.
I think we've got a questionnaire together to go in. We're just trying to arrange a time where
And the
there is
direct team are
actually
on
some
board
people
with this.
interact.
I'd say the direct team are on board with this. Phil and the others want to make a change to that space, so they will support us in going there, talking to the businesses and getting information for us, as well as us getting our own information from the people who are there.
There's a reason why we don't make desks. Now, we're a £55 million business, and it's, you know, there's no mistake on that. You know, it's strategic, and the market is moving more and more.
Yeah, one of the things we didn't mention with the hot desking thing is compulsory in the diet, but a lot of companies are using it more and more, so I think that if we can get it right, it would be something that's quite useful for other companies to have areas like that as well. Quite interesting. I wish free to leave.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing the new space, that's all I can say.
The last consideration we have is it has to be returnable to what it was. So whatever we do, it has to be returnable because it's a rented space rather than owned space.
Yeah.
So that is one of the requirements of Phil's response.
I think what you might find though is if depending how you design it and the products that you use, if they've got multi-purpose use, then actually you can get it.
Phil still says it has to be returnable. It has to be included in the budget of the cost of returning it back to owners at least.
Yeah, you have to hand it back to the landlord in the same state.
Brilliant, well done.
Yeah, fantastic.
You need to move. Can I just say quickly, it's about the presentation. I know you're going to be working on this, but the sharpness of the visual information, the grouping of your data, which you're going to be working on because you've got access to a real life project here. Some of the data has come through the questions that you need, so you can be quite sharp with the introduction of the space, and that you need to balance the way you present this as well. It's a little bit over this side. We need more from you guys so that the dynamic of the team is really presented. And if you organise it, you organise your data, organise your visuals, organise your key information and who's in charge of what. And that prevents those sort of extra ideas sort of coming in when it's not planned, and then your pitch or your presentation ends up longer than it should be and your audience starts to drift off. So that's your next one, your assessed one. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.